Welcome to Chaos Crypto.
Well, I've got something to say. I bought some Bitcoin today. You can say that I'm insane, but I bought it anyway. I've got something to say. I bought some Ether today. You can say that I'm insane, but I mind it anyway. Sweet Bitcoin Cash, I'm waiting for your hand. When sweet has one last cause, yes. Sweet Bitcoin Cash, I'm waiting for your hand. Come sweet has one last digest.
Alright, look at that. Look at that crazy market capitalization. Look at that shit. Look at it. It's great. It's amazing. Look, anyone who doesn't know what they're looking at can say, hey, I think that's a bubble. But, you know, we're a little more open-minded about it. We're a little bit open-minded about it in the crypto universe, which everyone wants to be part of. Everyone wants to be part of this crypto universe, so they're jumping on board this ship. It's like, this ship is not even a ship, it's like a little raft. There's not enough room for everyone to jump on to the crypto ship. First we have to build the ship. The ship is like theoretical in its origins. It's like, we can do it though. We can do it. But look at that thing. Look at that thing. It's pretty amazing. So like, yeah, it topped like over, it was like about 170 billion. Something like that. It was quite a bit. And now it's like died down a little. It's like 145 billion, which is like a tiny little bit of a teacup, little drop in Janet Yellen's dreams. Janet Yellen's wet dreams have more fluid than this market capitalization. Okay, so we can go on. This. Welcome! Look at this capitalization. So like during the last dip, it dropped down about 40%. It dropped about 40%. I think that's like what they call it, a 60% Fibonacci retracement. And now there is a potential to do the same here, which would mean the market cap would drop down to about $110 billion. Which is still incredibly small, incredibly tiny, little bit here. There are investors coming into the market which have a lot of money, but they are not savvy to the technology. It's like, it's hard to get people to wrap their heads around what blockchain is. It's hard to do that. It's sometimes hard for me to wrap my head around a lot of concepts. It's like, I'm not really a hardcore programmer like I used to be. I'm just a guy trying to make my financial dreams come true, and I'm up against a lot, but we'll go into that later. So one of the points I'm going to be touching on regularly is like similarities to and differences from traditional markets. One obvious difference, during every stock bubble, the price to earnings ratio becomes very high. It's like something around 25 is considered in bubble territory. The trouble with cryptos is you have the price, but you do not have any earnings. So what can you derive the earnings from? And you could derive them from a company if it's related to the company, but you can't. So you'd have to say like it's a pure market in that way. The good news is that maybe of you young ones, you know, you weren't scarred by a lot of the bubbles that were happening, like the 2000 NASDAQ tech boom and the 2007-8 housing boom. you weren't scarred by those. You're coming at this with a fresh perspective. You think like, okay, you can win. It's like the game is usually rigged. It's usually rigged. The house will win. The house hasn't figured out how to capitalize on that yet. Yo! Oh, hey. Okay, I'll shut this off. So many of you youngins weren't of an age to be cognizant of the dot-com bubble and crash. I guess I'm going to forecast that the crypto bubble will be similar. It's like where we started out with a whole lot of horses in the race, and then now we recognize like Google and Amazon and like a lot of other companies as being household names. But they started out from basically nothing. It's like a seed. It's like a tiny little germinated seed. And if you get in on that, you can have ownership over part of a giant plant that grows out of that seed. So by virtue of just being aware of this opportunity, you're an early adopter. When the airplane was invented, it's like people said, what use is it? It's like, and they say like, well, what use is a baby? What use is a baby? What use is something in its infancy? You can do a lot of things with cryptocurrencies in their current form, but they are going to be able to take over a lot of the functions of things that you would consider not in the blockchain. In theory, the neoclassical economists have drawn their models from what is called efficient markets. These are markets without limitations of fees, and they're not influenced by so-called animal spirits like bullish greed and bearish fear. These markets have been, theoretical. It's like, yeah, you can say they're theoretical, but that's not the way the real world acts. It's like people react to their gut feelings, they react to their emotions. So these markets are pure. They're like very liquid. It's like, and the first sector that's going to be taken over, obviously, is banking. It's like, beyond that, there are many other sectors that are going to be taken over. Like DigiPulse has been working on ways to transfer digital wealth onto to your heirs. It's going to be a huge growth industry. You got to realize that where there's a need for some people that have a lot of wealth, that this need will get fulfilled. It will be very profitable for people to do those things. So there are strategies for investing that have been forgotten in dusty old books, and they may be recovered and reinvented because now they are able to work in their pure form, in their pure theoretical form. To say when you have lack of friction, it's like our Newtonian world is based on a model that doesn't take into account friction. It doesn't take into account air resistance. It's like things move. It's like objects. The object in motion tends to stay in motion, but the real world is not like that. The real world has like limitations, and there's always energy lost along the way. As these markets become more efficient, as exchanges are more instantaneous and transaction fees are reduced, these are the problems that everyone is working on. Everyone is working on reducing the fees, on reducing the friction in these markets. So in essence, they are making them comply more with theoretical, neoclassical economics, for better or for worse. It's important to remember that the market cap of the S&P 500 is around, it's like, I don't know exactly what it is. Okay, it's important to remember that the market cap of the Dow Jones Industrial Average is about like 22,000, and the total market is only 145 billion. That number is going to explode. The dot-com boom and bust had a host of cheerleaders, and an entire mainstream market, which was the NASDAQ, and it facilitated the mania. It was like everyone wanted in on it. Everyone was pumping money into it. So when people say that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are in a bubble, they just aren't looking at the historical evidence. At the height of the bubble, 280 stocks that made up the Bloomberg Internet Index were worth $3 trillion combined. So that's 280. stocks, 3 trillion. That's in 20th century dollars. That's in like 1999 dollars. And inflation has been over 100% since then. So that should be at least twice the amount. So in order for something to be on a bubble of that scale, it would have to be at least $7 trillion right now. And you're talking about the crypto market, $145 billion. It's really, really small. So people want to do naysaying. It's like when you say FOMO, it's like fear of missing out. It's like, yes, this is real. It's like, don't say FOMO, man. Say YOLO, because you only have this life to live. It's like, this is possibly, quite possibly, a bubble. It's going to follow more or less the track that the NASDAQ tech booms did. But if you get on early, you can make a lot of money. As a matter of fact, it's like a lot of people that get on late, they make even more money. It's like, as far as like actual dollar amounts, all the late adopters, they're in it. But the trouble is getting out. It's like, where do you figure out how to get out of your positions? And that's something that's always difficult to judge. It's like, so the strategies are like short term and long term. It's like, what are you going to do? You have to go with your own personality. In essence, you have to follow your own gut feeling, but understand that humans have certain biases. It's like, when you are winning, you feel like you're going to keep winning. Winning becomes the normalcy bias. But this is not normal. It's like, all you younger people getting into these markets, yeah, you don't have the experience of the crashes. So after, I would say I'd have to recount my own experience trying to get money into Bitcoin. It's like, I can remember hearing about really trying to get money into Bitcoin. I think it was like about 2011, and I was not able to figure out how to do that. It's like, other than meeting someone at an internet cafe with a laptop and then just, here's some money, give me some Bitcoin in this account, which I didn't even know how to get it together. So I got some skin in the game recently, and it's kind of an ordeal dealing with a mainstream exchange, and they make it difficult that way. It's like, right now, it's like you could try to open the floodgates to Bitcoin, but it's a trickle. It's a tiny little bit coming in right now. And my story is like, I wanted to invest $3,000 in Bitcoin, and that would have bought me an entire Bitcoin then, and a little bit more. So I found out, okay, I had to get a cash advance on my credit card into my checking account, then transfer, and then I was like, okay, good, I got that, and then I transfer some money into my account, which was Gemini, and it took 5 days of doing this. They were actually closed on the weekend, so I couldn't transfer it in either during non-business days. So at $500 a shot, took 5 business days to transfer in $2,500. That was also the limit that I could get a cash advance, so I couldn't get $3,000. And then it took, after that, I could invest the funds, but it took another 5 business days from when the funds were transferred into my account at Gemini for them to actually recognize the funds. So, and then I had planned on taking out the Bitcoin before the hard fork into Bitcoin Cash, but I couldn't do that because my funds were tied up. It's like, they were like, no, you can't move these funds. It's like, well, I wanted to get in before that so I could get it, and now I'm waiting on the exchange to tell me how I can get my Bitcoin Cash out of this. So it was like, oh, okay, well, if you're not into going through this stuff right now, it's like, it's kind of difficult. It's like, it's very off-putting to invest in cryptocurrencies at the moment. Like I said, it's a little trickle. They have a little trickle. It's like a bottleneck. It's like, but once you get in, it's like you can do amazing things. It's like you can go to, and then I started using the Exodus wallet, which actually has an exchange for many of the more used cryptocurrencies. So I was like, wow, this thing is great. This is an awesome user interface, and hats off to those guys that they are really kicking ass. So all the time I'm thinking during this whole stuff, it's like, this is the legacy system. This is the legacy system which the cryptos will be doing away with. It's like, even right now, it's like we have the FUD, the fear, uncertainty, doubt, and dread. Dare I say, the Chinese government is lumbering around, is threatening to stomp on all the green shoots and put them back into the mud. It's just like saying, well, we are all-important Chinese government, and we will do what we want. We have always dominated. Okay, so many getting into cryptos right now are unaware of certain truths. It's said that there's a truism that says that rising tide lifts all ships. The flip side is that a calm sea never made a skilled sailor. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. It's like losing improves your character, and winning improves your wardrobe. It's like cryptocurrencies are going to take over all these functions of the legacy systems. They will do that. It's like some believe that they will make functions of government obsolete. It's like, so when will this baby start to walk? When will this baby start to take its first steps? It's like, it's someday it's gonna be able to do just about anything, but right now it's, you are an early adopter. You are one who's getting in on this at the ground floor. It's like, and maybe not the ground floor, maybe the ground floor has just been theorized. It's not even a ground floor yet. So this is the system that will deliver on the promises of the Internet 2.0.
Chaos Crypto!
So I'm going to try and do this other segment regularly called Freak of the Week. And let me just put up this chart, this freakish chart. This is a cryptocurrency which came out a long time ago. It came out probably like 4 years ago. It's called Sprouts, and it has a market cap of supposedly $18.2 million, and it has a circulating supply of, it was like 509 billion. It's pretty crazy, the numbers that are involved in it. And yet it was moved on one exchange for as like less than $1,000. Moved this cryptocurrency 436.99%. Can you believe that? It was like over 4 times value increased on less than $1,000 of float. It's like, it's pretty crazy. It's like, I don't know what someone could do with that. Again, like, what would a hedge fund of unscrupulous principles do with a currency that, or a commodity that could be moved in such a way? It's kind of ridiculous. So that's the freak of the week. All right. I like them freaks. All right. Yeah. Have a good one.